Well, hello everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video. If it's your first time doing so, make sure you subscribe. Smash, easy for me to say, that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter. Why? Well, because one, it's fun. Two, because when I do these Q&A videos, that's where I go to Twitter to ask for your questions. So if you want questions answered in future Q&As, follow me on Twitter and then you can ask away. All right, let's go ahead and get started because I'm probably going to have to break this up into two parts because I got enough questions to be able to do so. So here's part one. Part two will probably be up Monday morning the 14th. Dane the Funky Homo Sapien, good for you, sir. Ask, when do you decide your hair is long enough and then shave it all off? What's the threshold that makes you think, yeah, this is far enough? Not saying either look is better, just curious. Usually when it gets to the point that it starts getting that oily look on top or I start feeling like it's reminiscent of a mullet, then I'm like, it's got to go. So, I probably should just keep it at a somewhat shorter, like medium length, not this short, but not as long as it gets sometimes. But I'm fucking lazy, so I don't, but... What's that decision? That's fantastic. At Geo Knows. Oh, what a flat earth you got for me this time, Geo. Let's have at it. I'm thinking to get in a dog. I want a border collie or a golden lab, but my wife insists on a pug or no dog. What am I going to do, Schleg? What am I going to do? It's called a divorce. Probably not a realistic option. There's also put it in her butt. Like, you have to establish your dominance in this situation. You have to let her know what's up. And if she can't get down, then you go to Browntown. Also, probably won't solve your need here. I guess you got to ask why she's so insistent on getting a pug. Maybe there's some emotional connection there. There's some type of history. Maybe it's something that she sees a pug and thinks it's so cute. What I would caution both of you on, like the piece of, I want a border collie or a golden lab and she wants a pug or no dog. You have to be prepared to potentially say, if you're going to be this unreasonable about this heifer, it'll be no dog then. And we just, because you want to be stubborn ass about it, we won't have a dog at all, which is stupid. Go to a shelter and be open-minded. If you have a size range of dogs that you're trying to stay within, which it seems like you're varying wildly here in terms of the size, try and see if you can land on, what type of size of dog you potentially want, and then go to some type of shelter. And when you know, and it'll feel right. And it probably won't be a pug, and it won't be a border collie or a golden lab. But you got to get to the root of the cause of why she wants a pug so goddamn bad. Let's see here, the Junior from Tonga fanboy. There we go. Can you please do more historical NFL videos? Maybe some of your own memories. Talk about how some of your favorite games, plays, players, etc. I'm just kind of a casual fan, but you help improve my knowledge of the sport, so thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, maybe. As we start getting into July and, even now in June a little bit, since this channel leans so heavily in terms of NFL, it starts to get a little lean. I mean, I'm doing the early quarterback scouting reports for the 2022 NFL draft, which you guys should be checking out. But the content starts to dry up a little bit around this time of year. It tends to be a bit of a downtime, so certainly a possibility. At Mags, the NFL nerd, how likely is Devin Hester to get into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility in 2022? I think there's a possibility. I'm not sure how likely it's going to be, just because at the end of the day, he was an elite all-time returner and a mediocre NFL wide receiver. He's going to get in. And I don't anticipate his wait's going to be incredibly long. Maybe there's enough media attention there. Maybe there's enough positive vibes that gets him in on the first ballot, especially if he's going up against what's perceived as a weaker class. But man, first ballot, that's quite a reach when you're talking about special teamers typically not getting into the Hall of Fame at all. He goes from not only getting into the Hall of Fame, but getting on the first ballot. Seems like a bit of a stretch, but could happen. Blackspace 999, should the Vikings pay Hunter big money coming off of neck surgery? Should they trade their star defensive end knowing it'll put him further into cap hell next year? I think they should be in a holding pattern, wait and see what happens, see how he comes back from the neck injury before they make any decisions, honestly. Rosario 24, if the Nets win the title this year, then does this ring truly count for James Harden and Blake Griffin? Personally, I think the Nets are better without James Harden, because there's always this piece like we talk about hey, they got this dude, and this dude. It's a fucking super team. Unfortunately, when you put them together, at least one, if not two, if not all three of them, have to take a step down. So it's not, when all three are playing, it's not 100% Kevin Durant. It's not 100% Kyrie. It's not 100% James Harden. It's a lesser version of them. They're still there in name, but in practice, they are not the absolute best of players that they could possibly be. Totally wild tangent there, but nonetheless, it counts in terms of they'll get the damn ring. They'll be known as a champion forever. Blake Griffin got his way out of Detroit and he signed with them. Nothing illegal about that. James Harden forced this trade to happen, which, again, nothing illegal about it. Punk-ass way to do it for sure, because he wasn't good enough to get it done being the primary guy. Took the Durant, LeBron, bitch-ass way of doing it, but that's just the modern NBA for you. So at the end of the day, does it count? Yes, we'll have an asterisk or some type of disqualifier for some, maybe even myself included, yes. Ad sales savant. Who is your pick for NFL Rookie of the Year? My vote goes to Kyle Pitts. We're a long way from me being able to determine that, because I even got to see guys get through training camp in the preseason healthy before I start making those picks. And even then, do we even know what Pitts' role is going to be in that offense? I hesitate to think it would be him. Let's see here. At Blackspace99 fires back. Should the Twins avoid paying Byron Buxton big money and get what you can for him despite his career highs and hitting stats? Side note, he has hurt a lot. I understand this is a guy they took, number 1 or number 2 overall several years back in the draft. So they've been waiting a long time to come to fruition. Yeah, I would certainly hesitate to pay him a shit ton of money, because then you end up being locked into this guy for an extended period of time, and he ends up not being the player that you paid for it. See Joe Mauer. See eventually Justin Morneau. At Master Havoc, with how surprising the Cubs have been, what do you see happening at the deadline? Maybe they'll make a move or two, but I doubt it. I'll believe it when I see it, honestly. They might make, instead of making a big move for a frontline starting pitcher, they'll make a move for a stretch reliever and another bullpen arm or something like that. So they could say they did something, but in reality, they didn't really do shit. Let's see here. Joseph Moran, what are your top 5 rappers of all time? Mine are Pac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Eminem, and Snoop Dogg. It's funny, were you even alive to listen to any of those 5 in their prime or their peak? That's hard to say. Are you talking about lyrically? Are you talking about in terms of crossover appeal, length of career, their overall catalog? You really have to define what you're looking for in terms of top 5 rappers. I think you really do. 4 of the names, I'll grant you, I have no issue with being on your list. I think Jay-Z is overrated as shit, my opinion. At Dollar Balls, how would you describe your religious or spiritual beliefs, and have you ever questioned the existence of a supreme being or gods? Yes, I questioned it. Even people that believe questioned it from time to time. I still think it is. I think it's also incredibly arrogant and typical of mankind to think that they can clearly define what that feels like, what that looks like. As far as religious or spiritual beliefs, let me say this. I probably should tweet it and I'll get people pissed at me. But the one thing I've always had trouble with is how, and typically as Christians, of course, and you got to be careful because, God, you want to talk about snowflakes, start questioning things related to Jesus or God, and all of a sudden, but serious question. God is supposed to be all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful. Either one or two things are true. Either that's not true and explains a lot of the shit that happens in this world, or it is true and the way we define God is fucked up. Think about all the bad, fucked up shit that happens in this world on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. If your higher power, your God, hear me out, he is all-knowing, so he knows what's happening. He's all-loving, so he loves you no matter what, but is all-powerful, meaning that he could stop shit and doesn't do so, calls into question whether he truly is all-knowing, or more importantly, whether he's all-loving. When you look at the way the current world is, you cannot, with a rational fiber of your being, no matter how much of an evangelical nut job you are, sit there and tell me that he's all-knowing, he's all-loving, and he's all-powerful, and then you see the shit that happens in this world. Because you couldn't say that. You just couldn't. It's like sometimes, while it's great that everybody has something that they believe in, some type of moral backing, let's keep it clear. The purpose of religion is twofold. No matter what the religion. You name it, doesn't fucking matter. It is about establishing some type of moral baseline for society so anarchy and chaos don't run amok all the time, even though they still seem to anyways. Number two is about control. That's what those are about. You can think about everything else the fuck you think you want, but those are the two things that it's about. That's all it's about. But when you think about religion or spirituality, just think about that. If your God is truly all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful and allows all this bad, evil shit to happen, what does that really say? At Jack Duncan, what's your favorite NFC Championship game? Every one the Cowboys aren't in. That's what he gets. That's what he gets. Might say Bears versus Rams in January of '86. That shutout. Of course, logically, it's going to make sense. I could also go Homer and say when they beat the Saints back in the 2006 season at Soldier Field. Probably my least favorite NFC Championship game of all time is in the 2010 season when they were hosting the Packers and Cutler goes and wusses out, oh, my knee, and then Lovey goes straight to Todd Collins instead of Caleb Haiti. You think about Caleb Haiti and you think about the fact that he kept the Bears around the game a little bit, but he wasn't even the first choice off the fucking bench. But certainly not anyone involving the Cowboys. And either way, it'd be a few decades we have to go back in history to talk about the Bears of Texas, the Dallas Cowboys. Spenny P19, what's your favorite beer to drink while watching the Chicago Bears? None, because I don't really drink. Not my vice. Yet I fucking started smoking all those years ago. How fucking stupid is that? No drugs anymore. No drinking. Yet I smoke. That's really stupid. BirdDog502. Sorry if it's already been asked, but do the Cubs go all in for one last season at the trade deadline? Do they sell and start a partial rebuild? We're going to need another starting pitcher if we want to make a serious run in the World Series. I agree with that. If they're in a position, should they go for it? Absolutely. Because you never know when those opportunities come about. You think about that 2016 team. They come back from 3-1 down against the Indians, win the World Series, and you're thinking, hey, they might be able to win a couple more with this core. And now here we sit a few years later, and they haven't won one since. You just never know. So when you have an opportunity, you do have to go all in, even if it creates some consequences and repercussions down the road. John Jones, why do people hate Lamar Jackson so much? Do they? There are certainly some elements of fans that don't like quarterbacks that maybe look like him. But I think sometimes there's also a piece of now he's had a few seasons where he's put up some great numbers in the regular season and he's choked and fallen flat in the playoffs too. But I didn't know the average standard fan really hated Lamar Jackson that much. Dakota Harper 278. Would you ever consider going on Keeping It 100 and talking Bears with the crew? I think it'd be a fun collaboration and fun to see you live. Also, get your YouTube channel name out. Honestly, I don't even think I know who the fuck Keeping It 100 is. If they talk about the Bears and you need me to come in there and talk about a slice of reality, which Bears fandom certainly needs consistently, then yes, absolutely, I would love to do so. Illogical reason 1. Whenever you hear about deaths of a cast member from a TV show like Glee, do you believe in curses, superstition, or is it just bad luck? Sometimes it feels like curses. It's just sometimes it's shit happens in life and it can be bad luck. Joseph Moran, back again. My girlfriend's shying away from me and I don't know what to do. She doesn't know how to trust others when she's in a bad situation. What should I do? Break it off. That's it. You're too young to be trying to hook up to long-term shit like that. And if she can't trust now, trust and believe It won't get any better. You're not going to fix her. Fucking run away. Run away. I'm going to repeat this again, Mr. Moran. Run the fuck away. Tell her thanks for the giggles and everything else, but I'm good. Let her shy away. Because for all you know, she's shying away from you, and you're talking about the lack of trust thing, and she's going to potentially start projecting her problems onto you, and she's going to start accusing you of shit, when all the while you're going to eventually find out, and this happens more often than not, that the one that projects and the one that blames is the one that actually does the dirt. I mean, you could be stubborn about it, or you can listen. That's all I can say. At BPEF00 for the Bucks to win a championship, does Giannis need to be put on the Ben Simmons shot plan? It's amazing how Giannis's play in the regular season translates, and when you get to a certain point in time in the playoffs where a team figures out, hey, he can't fucking shoot, let's sag off of him, how the Milwaukee Bucks offense just grinds to a damn halt. It's crazy. At Keys 10, how different would the league look if the Browns took Josh Allen #1 overall? Man, there would be the preeminent threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. They'd be a Super Bowl contender for sure. I don't know if they are with Baker. I know for fucking sure they would with the vastly superior Josh Allen. That's a fact, Jack. All right, I got through quite a few of these questions. We've got plenty more to go through, so make sure you stick around for part 2, which will come out soon. And thank you again for asking your questions. If you didn't get your questions answered in this video, keep in mind, I got another video coming up, so stay tuned for that.